Hey, what's up, guys? It's Clint. I am back with another episode of Versus. Tonight we got a fun show. We started a little bit early. We may be moving our show to Fridays, but we're going to talk about that more later. But let's talk about what we're going to talk about now, which is the Eternals versus Clash of the Titans. Versus Clash of the Titans. We're going to do a spoiler discussion on the Eternals, and we're going to talk about my favorite, 1981 Clash of the Titans, my favorite for years. And then we're going to talk about the newer Clash of the Titans. And then we're going to have a spoiler discussion on the Eternals. And, so we're going to do that. But before we do that, let's get Curtis on the horn, man. Let's get Curtis. Where's Curtis? Here he is. Curtis, what's happening, man?
Hey, what's up, guys?
What is up?
I'm not half dead. That's what's up, man. I apologize for last week.
What happened last week? Did you die?
I know I was kind of dead in the water during the show. I apologize. Tuesday night's kind of rough. I like starting earlier. And got a little more energy. I'm not quite dead yet.
Yeah, I'm fired up. I'm going to have band practice later on tonight, which is cool. I haven't done that in a long time. Since before the apocalypse started, I haven't had a band practice, which is cool.
And Clinton was talking about moving stuff around so that he and Dustin and some other guys could get together and practice again. And I'm anything to get more music out there, guys. If you haven't listened to their stuff yet, I mean, I'm aching. They're
thanks,
Nowhere
Curtis.
Bound was 2019. I'm dead serious, man. Nowhere Bound's last one was 2019, I think. Is that right? Or 2018, 2019?
Yeah, man.
But it's been a couple years, and I mean, it's so great. Like anything to get y'all's new music out there, I'll do it.
Hopefully we get this is me and Dustin with me singing and stuff. Hopefully we get my other band Nowhere Bound with our buddy Clink that we talk about, who loves the kung fu action movies. He's the singer of that band, and along with a bunch of other friends, a bunch of great people. I'm really blessed to be in bands with some really good people who are really talented too, and I'm excited. So hopefully I get both bands kicking very soon.
And that's the thing, yeah. Like I just mentioned Nowhere Bound because they're the latest. Anything Dustin and Clint have ever done. If we actually, Clint, we need to make a note for that for the next show. Like we need to get y'all some of y'all stuff with us so people can look it up on iTunes and stuff like that.
Let me just play some
taste. Well,
I'm just kidding. All right.
Man, you need to give them some clickable links in the comments, maybe next show or something. I'm dead serious. Like,
no, for sure, man. Once we got some new stuff coming, I'll be definitely jumping on that. Man, let's talk. I'm gonna be keeping an eye on the clock. We're gonna cut it off at 8, so that means we got about an hour and a half. A little more to just get into it. The Clash of the Titans. We're talking about Eternals. These are gods and basically demigods and whatnot. What would be a good movie to match this up with? And it's like, hey, Clash of the Titans. I'm like, yeah, you're right, dude. And I love me some Clash of the Titans, man. When I was a kid, I remember sitting and it seems like this is one of those movies. And I say this a lot about a lot of movies. Beetlejuice is the same way. It's like one of those movies where every time I turn the TV, this movie was on when I was a kid. I've seen this movie a million times.
And they showed it in school, too, for a lot of like anytime you'd be studying mythology, they throw that one in.
Oh, yeah. But I'd much rather watch Clash of the Titans than Where the Red Fern Grows. That is for darn sure. Not again. Yeah. But just that. There we go. Man, I loved it. I watched this movie. I'm going to be honest with you on both of these. The Clash of the Titans, the newer one, I saw that one in the theater. I tried to watch it again last night and this morning, and I tried to watch it. It's on HBO, and I was having I was blocked on HBO. It wouldn't work. I kept getting an error. And then I went and I watched. I didn't have any problems watching Arcane, the new series on Netflix. And then I went and I decided, dude, I gotta watch this movie again because I saw it in the theater, so it's been 11 years. And I tried, and then I decided I'm just going to buy it on Amazon, rent it on Amazon. If I'm having HBO problems, you can feel bad for me, son. I got 99 problems, but Amazon ain't one, so I'll just try and get it from there. So I went over to Amazon and I tried to buy it or rent it. And no problem, I rented it. I got charged for it, and then when I went to stream it, it wouldn't allow me to stream it. I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" And then I went back and watched another show. So it's like my internet's fine. I'm watching other shows, but on Netflix, but it wouldn't let me. So I had two different issues. And then I had to run off and run some errands. So I did not watch the newer version, but I saw it in the theater, and I still remember a few things about it. So you might have to help refresh me on some of that on. The Sam Worthington stuff, but the OG, I get to watch that again, and that was really fun. I love the stop motion stuff. What's the name of the guy that did the
Ray Harryhausen?
Yes,
this was either his last or one of his last films. He's the great stop motion animator for probably most of what we've seen. He actually trained under Willis O'Brien, who was the guy who did King Kong and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
And his first movie was Mighty Joe Young. And he was, he's the cream of the crop when it comes to stop motion. And I think this was his last movie.
I think it was too. I think I remember hearing something about that.
I went down. It's amazing. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I went down a rabbit hole of kind of some YouTube videos about mythology and that brought that up, and I heard somebody saying like, "Thank goodness we got this one out of him." Like maybe he did this late.
Really? Hey, we got Reese and Raj in the chat. Welcome,
cool.
Guys.
Hello there. Oh, here I have my special one for you, Reese. Oh, crap. Video not found. Locate file now. No, go away. It was pretty much Ozzy Osbourne saying, hello there.
Clint's internet has that selective hearing, like whenever you're telling your kids to do something they don't want to do and they're just like, don't hear you. But then you're like, hey, do you want candy? And they're like, huh? Like Clint's internet is like, I want it. It's like, I want to watch this movie. I want to put this clip. And Clint's internet, it's like, I don't know. But what?
I did a bunch of cleanup on my hard drive. And, which reminded me, I think I know where to find this. So maybe
that's
not.
What, yeah.
I was doing a bunch of cleanup for while I was doing some editing and things for a Book of Boba Fett video that I'm going to be doing soon. Anyway,
we've got VKG.
Oh, look at that, VK.
Got it on go ahead.
Hello
there.
It
on mute. He's got it on mute because he hasn't watched it yet. We'll let you know when we're going to do Eternal spoilers. So you don't. If he's on mute, he can't hear us. But
VKG, that's is that one of James's 15 aliases? James is like a secret agent. You could, it could say Uma Thurman, and you got to wonder, is that really Uma Thurman? Or is there a check mark? No, there's no check mark. Okay, well then it's actually James.
Hell yeah.
Goal of Futures now to have one of my movies in the you'd let us know and we'll see where we can work it in, man. That's what's fun is I try to come up with movies with Curtis where it's something that's new and current that people are going to be talking about, but then if we could find a way to tie it in with old stuff that we love, no garbage, no just throwing it in there for no reason. Like we need something that's got a special place in our heart, and we try and include that, and then it's fun. We get a little nostalgia, we get a little current events, and then we try. And then if I can make it as controversial and shocking as possible, then we can all fight about it. Yeah. Yes.
Like his love of Shang-Chi. Like he likes Shang-Chi. That's
exactly. I don't even love it. I just don't think it sucks, so I have to defend it. Let's see here. James's Legion. That's right. All right, go. Whoops.
Yes,
have it on mute.
Subscribe.
That's right, guys. As James.
Share.
Yes, you wanna do all these things. You want.
Raj, your whatever work you've got is probably like we will talk about anything you've got, man. On that level. I've been in a couple movies. I was thinking about throwing them on here, but I don't know. That's kind of rough. But yeah, we're not gonna, we're not gonna beat anything down. We're gonna love it, man. It's gonna be good stuff. Um, let's see. Yeah, if you've got it on mute, well, you probably can't hear me, but yeah, we're not gonna talk. So we will definitely let you know once we hit spoilers. We're talking original Clash of the Titans right now. Go ahead, Clint.
Yeah, we're doing segments right now, and we don't have Dustin on, so this is not going to be a chaotic, all over the place discussion where we're all like. And I'm not blaming Dustin. It's just when there's three of us,
Right.
I could kind of just throw it out there, and we're going to fill in time. But between me and Curtis, I feel like we got to keep it a little organized. Plus, I have a schedule. I have band practice, so we can't do a 3-hour stream. So we're gonna stay focused, talk about different things, and then get out of this thing, and start doing it on Fridays. So we're gonna try and make it as fun as we can, and we're not gonna spoil Eternals for you, James. So let's talk first about Clash of the Titans 1981. Like I said, man, I used to watch this all the time when I was a kid. And let's be honest, the most amazing part of that movie is the freaking flying owl. The mechanical owl that can fly. When I was a kid, I was like, the thing's made of gold, but it can fly? How does this it's and I didn't even I started watching that movie when I was like 5 or 6, you know what I mean? So it's like I don't know if I really even put that together quite, but it was awesome. I was like, dude, it's like technology from the gods.
Well, and it's cool too because they were already kind of thinking like, Iron Man-ish lines. Not to blend everything together, but is it like we've got these superpowered beings and stuff like that, and yet at the same time we know that technology is man's best friend. So they go ahead like she could have, the lady, I can't remember the god's name, but with the actual owl. She was like, I'm not going to give you my owl, blah, 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 But, so she got the mechanical one made, and it's like that is more within the realm of man, than this all-knowing owl. But I was actually going to ask you about that. So when we're talking about Harryhausen, what was the most impressive, like, scene for you? I mean, the Kraken's always cool, but I kept, like, I was thinking about this question before, while I was watching it, what to ask. And I'd see one and I'd be like, "Oh, that's it. That's the most," and then I'd see another one and I'd be like, "No, that's it. Like that's the most impressive scene."
I think Medusa. I think it's Medusa. Like she's just like, and then like when her eyes glow up and it's just like I think that's got to be my favorite. Hence me throwing her face on the poster. Also the story of Medusa is actually pretty sad. Like she is a priestess who worships Hera, and she actually like goes celibate and is just like a priestess for Hera. And then I think it's Poseidon starts wooing her, and then she ends up going to Hera for help, and Hera instead gets mad at her and punishes her because Poseidon's hitting on her because she's a beautiful woman with beautiful locks of hair. So because Hera got jealous that Poseidon was like, what, and who's a humble, faithful servant, and then and she ends up making her hideous and then turning her beautiful locks of hair into snakes, and then on top of that, any man that looks at her turns to stone and turns into this hideous creature, which is just a terrible punishment and just further pushes the idea that the gods are fucking assholes. These guys are bastards, all of them. Zeus is like slinking in the night and impregnating women, creating Perseus. People are getting jealous. Like they're more scandalous than humans. And I guess, I guess they created these stories because humans are pretty screwed up. And it's a way to reflect that, hey, we're not too far from the gods, you know what I mean? But also, I don't even remember this let's see, what's his, the king's name. The king
of
Perseus. It's the Perseus, his mother, Perseus's mother.
The king of Argon.
Yeah, him. There was a prophecy. And the whole thing happened. There was a prophecy that that his daughter was going to have a son, and that he was going to end up being the king, and he would be defeated, and that son would be the king of Argon. So he locks his daughter up and ends up leaving her locked up with a little window that she can see out of, and that way, like, hey, if nobody can get to her, she's locked up, she won't have a kid. And Zeus ends up slinking in and impregnating her. He turned into like a golden rain or something, and like
Zeus is like, hold my beer.
yeah, exactly. He's like, hey, and so and then once she's pregnant or once she has the kid, he's like, dude, I tried to prevent this. It happened anyway. Okay, I'm gonna put her into this chest. He puts her in a chest and seals it, and then throws it in the ocean. It's like, okay, this is on you, Zeus. Throws it out there, and then Zeus is like, hold my beer, and then says, hey, have that thing land on a beautiful island and safely, would you? And so they do that, and then the kid grows up on an island and is doing just fine. And it's weird, and the gods are getting all jealous. And then I went back even further before all this, and I thought it was funny because Kronos, who is the father of like Hera and Zeus and all these gods, he was the father of all of them, and then heard that one of his kids was going to defeat him and become the head god. So he started eating all of his children whole because he would. Yeah, because that's what you do. And then to prevent that, and they disguised Zeus. They wrapped up a rock. And he ate that thinking it was Zeus, and they hid Zeus. And then Zeus ended up coming over later and poisoning him and freed all of his siblings. And then they together defeated Kronos. And I just think it's funny that you have this prophecy that one of the gods is going to defeat Kronos. And then the same thing happens on Earth. It's like a mirror. It's like a reflection of the exact same thing. It's such a mess. All those gods are all screwed up and jealous of each other and have their favorites, and then somebody else is like, it's crazy.
No, absolutely. Like, so first of all, Reese says he doesn't care. He'd still smash Medusa anyway. He's going to town. He's like, more snakes just mean more touching, baby.
Oh boy.
Raj says the Greek pantheon didn't give a fuck. Or an F? Were we worrying about that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't care.
Yeah.
Okay. Dude, it's not even 7 p.m. yet. Like, come on, man.
All right.
Yeah. I try to drop say F bomb or give an F or whatever, but if one slips out, fuck it. So.
All right. Okay. And then they were vindictive and cruel. Probably reflected how the ancient Greeks viewed life in general. I agree. So Greek mythology, like, I am very, like, if you want to talk about Norse mythology, I can talk about it all day long, because Thor was my favorite Marvel hero. That's what got me into it, and I've read extensively on Norse mythology and stuff like that. Greek mythology, you study that more in school, and I'm not sure why, but I mean, it's good, the little bit, the stories that I know. But yeah, this one, apparently, I looked it up. I didn't do as deep a dive as you did, but apparently it's about 50% true, according to the myth of Perseus. And so the remake is about the same, about 50% true. Now, you hadn't seen the remake in a while, but in the remake, he is very, very much anti-god. So Perseus gets a lot of help in the original from the gods.
Yeah.
He accepts their weapons. In the remake, he doesn't even accept their weapons. He doesn't want anything to do with them. And I was even thinking, like, whenever, it's funny, before I watched the remake, whenever I was watching Clash of the Titans, I was thinking of, like, it seems European. Not, I know we've got European viewers. I'm not a European, so this is my perception. But it seemed like a European perception. The American perception is like, yeah, it's like, fuck all that shit. Like, we ain't, like, I don't want your, stuff. I'm gonna go get my own stuff, and I'm gonna go kick your ass anyway. And I was thinking very much of a Conan is a very much of an American type version of this. When the remake, he is very much more. It's much more of an American remake. I remember it being. I didn't. It didn't bother me that much. The original. I'm sorry. The remake when I originally watched it, but watching them back to back, the 1981 is so much better. And it bothers me. You said you talked about Bebo. I think his name is Bebo. the Golden Owl,
Yeah.
because I loved him too as a kid. There's a scene in the freaking remake where they're picking up like stuff that they'll need for the journey, and they pick up Bebo, and he's like, "What's this?" Perseus picks it up and he says, "What's this?" And he's like, "Oh, it's just trash. Throw it away." And they just like chuck it aside. And it's like, you
That's the
fucking assholes.
yeah. That was like the
Like,
that was like the
it's like spitting in my face.
it's like the Baby Yoda of the show. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you're not gonna yeah. Oh man. It's the R2 of the show is exactly what it is. It's the R2D2 of that movie. Like
Right. And he's the bumbling helper, and like that's he's but it just really, but like when I watched it the first time, I was like, this isn't that bad. When I rewatched it back to back with the with the original, I was like, this is not good. And I looked up the director. I like most everything that he's done. It's a not Linklater,
you
letterer for the remake.
for the remake. Louis Leterrier. I don't I don't know how to say his name. Leterrier. He did The Incredibles. He did Lupin, as Edward would say, and Unleashed with Jet Li. He did a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
And he's a
I
great
like his-
director. He's really good.
but I rewatched this one. I was like, man, this is not that good. So I just didn't like it as much. But
Dude,
you watch it back to back with something that you have a nostalgic factor for, something that is just genuinely good. That's just not a good idea. Like probably like if I rewatch, because I bought the damn movie.
yeah.
Um, I'm gonna watch it again, but back to back with the original, it didn't hold up.
I'm trying
Go
to.
ahead. I'm sorry. I went off
I
on a
was
little rant there.
No, you're good because it gives me a second to look up the show that I couldn't think of. Damn it.
Well,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and so go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's the Curse of Sam Worthington. I think that I call it the curse. Like
Mhm.
Sam Worthington, I think had the best agent ever. Like for a little while because he was showing up
He
in
really did.
everything.
That's the Perseus remake guy, right?
Yeah, and one year,
Yeah, he was in
the
everything.
same year, he was in Avatar, he was in Clash of the Titans, he was in Terminator, like all in the same year. I'm like, dude, who did he blackmail or bribe to get all these movies? Like all the biggest movies that came out that year, it was Sam Worthington, and I'm like, I'm not dissing Sam Worthington.
No, he was fine.
But
He was fine.
he was
good.
fine, but he wasn't like
He wasn't damn Perseus. Like
he didn't have the charisma of some like new, like every now and then you get a super amazing actor where you're like, holy crap, and then they throw him everywhere, and he just didn't have that. He was like pretty good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But he's like I don't know.
He was serviceable, but you don't make 10 starring movie, for somebody that's serviceable. You put them in stuff and they do fine. Like there's,
I was like, are they going to put a Star Wars out? Because he'll be the main guy from that. He's also going to be the new Captain Kirk. He's also the new, you know what I mean? Like everything that came out, I was like, freaking Sam Worthington. It started pissing me off. Like if they just spaced him out, I'd been like, okay, whatever. But I'm like, really? More Sam Worthington? He didn't blow my skirt up on the last two. So, but I'll tell you where I thought he was really good. It was Manhunt on Netflix. Manhunter?
I don't know if I've seen it.
Or it's a show. It's where they're after the Unabomber, and he's a forensic.
I haven't seen it. I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
he's really good in that, and that was a really fun series. I like all of those FBI shows where they basically invent profiling. And study serial killers and stuff, and that was really good. But other than that, I was just like, hey man, I'm happy for any actor or musician or anybody that succeeds. Like good on Sam Worthington. I just didn't get it. You know what I mean? I was like, am I?
No, you did.
I like everything.
He has a great actor. He has a great agent. You do get it. He has a great agent, just like that Jai Courtney guy. Just like, they're fine. They're good. That's okay. But like, they just get these runs of actors that like you can tell the agent's just pushing them and pushing them and pushing them and getting them and all this stuff. And yeah, you get it. Like that's you can just tell. Like
I've also been there where and it is who you know. A lot of opportunities come like that, So anyway, I just thought it was interesting. But overall, it was really it was funny watching this movie. After I haven't seen this movie since the early '80s, dude. Like I've seen this movie probably 50 times, but like when I was a kid, and I
Yeah.
haven't seen this movie, and man, the effects look crazy now. Even like they'll have something going, and then there'll be like like guy Poseidon like blue
Mhm.
screened on
Yeah.
with a whole bunch of other
He's rolling his
releasing the Kraken. I was like, that looks really weird in 4K. I kind of wish I didn't have a 4K TV right now. It's really funny.
Yeah, there are some movies like that where it's like, I don't wanna watch that in 4K because it's just doesn't hold up. But now that I will say, the, stop motion still held up. But, yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of the blue because they didn't have green screen back then, maybe they did, I don't know, but most of it was blue screen, but it was the same idea, and it just yeah, it was some of that was very noticeable, in higher definition. Um, but I and acting-wise, Raj is talking about,
And hey, and real quick, I want to say too,
Mhm.
Rajneesh, he sent me a link to a thing on Vimeo. One of his short films is called "The Road Not Taken," and it was fantastic, man. It was a charming little video of two people meeting in a cafe in a coffee shop. It was like music and a poem being spoken, and he told a cool story without even them actually speaking, but it just like visuals, looking at each other and smiles and all this stuff, and it was really fun. It was like a 5 minute film, and he sent that to me, and I just wanted to throw you some props on the show, Rajneesh. Well done on that. And now I'm dying to check out more of your stuff. So, and especially anything you got going out to festivals and stuff, I'd love to see it. So please continue to share that with me, and thank you. For your insight and your opinions and things. Clearly, you've got an eye and a talent for film, so it's nice to have you on here. That's all I'm saying. So props, dude.
share that with me
I
when you
will.
get a chance, please,
I'll send it to you. It's
as
cool.
long as Raj is okay with it. Um, yeah,
No, it's just for me.
well,
I'm
I don't
just
know,
kidding.
I don't know.
I'll send that. I'll send it to you. I'm sure he does not
Um,
mind at all.
but, the acting in this, it as with pretty much anything, like, Burgess Meredith is spectacular in whatever he's in, and the character that played him in the remake was a very, it didn't work. Burgess Meredith was a perfect character for this. He was much more of a, like, teacher type, person. He helped Perseus go through and think about what he was doing because every young man's gonna be like, yeah, let's go punch it. Let's like, hey, what's going on over there? I don't know, but let's fucking punch it. Like that's what every young man does, and he kind of like brought him down, like think, use your brain. You got, you're messing with the gods here, man. You gotta think your way out of some stuff. And he was just spectacular in this. Even the Andromeda, Queen Andromeda was,
Mm-hmm.
or the princess, was great in this, and again, they switched up the story a little bit for the remake. Um, we don't have to go deep into it. It just, I don't know. The first time watching the remake, I really wasn't bothered by it. I enjoyed it. And then on a rewatch, and or no, I'll say I'd rewatched it since, and it was fine as well. Didn't knock my socks off. But and I'll say the same thing as I watched the original, and my kids would get interested and kind of like sit and watch it with me, who were 4 and 6. Um, with the remake, they kind of came in and looked at stuff and walked away. Like there's just more magic in the original, which is you're talking about myths and gods and stuff. They're supposed to be. The
Yeah,
original was very much more macho and like badass and blah blah blah. But
and
like
just
the
some like
magic,
CGI
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff, and it's like okay.
yeah. I mean, it was fine, but yeah, it just wasn't as good as I remember. And compared to the original was just such a great movie.
I feel like there was maybe a time where like the CGI was starting to get good. Like it went from being new and then like then they start I feel like maybe Jurassic Park threw a lot of time into it to make sure it
Hmm.
looked good,
Right.
and then after a while, people are like, that's good enough. So you start getting this mediocre CGI, and then it starts getting bigger, like better and better,
Hmm.
and then they spend all this time like worrying about that and less about good storytelling, and then they kind of overdo it. And I feel like now we're not impressed with that anymore, to where it's like they still do it, but it's like sparing. You know what I mean? And instead of just having some movie where there's a bunch of moving around crap,
Well,
and
and
I feel
Go
like
ahead.
this
I'm
is
sorry.
one of those movies where it's like,
Yeah.
okay, let's just throw a bunch of CGI in front of you and don't worry about storytelling.
Well, and so here's the thing. So not only did it get better and better, it also got cheaper and cheaper. When Jurassic Park and stuff was doing it, like that was way more expensive than practical effects because it was a new technology. And then it got cheaper and cheaper. And so once it got cheaper than practical effects, but didn't look as good, it didn't matter. It was cheaper, so they threw it in there.
Yeah.
And at the same time, like it's got like they went with it because it looked realer for some more real for some things than others. And now it's kind of the standard. So we as viewers can go, oh God, look at that CGI, look at that CGI. Like it's whereas practical effects still hold up to this day. Like I love the original Spider-Mans, but it looks like a cartoon now almost whenever you see certain scenes. It still looks better than a lot of CGI out there. Don't get me wrong. Than a lot of CGI movies out there, it still looks a lot better. But it's definitely noticeable because our eyes know now. Before it looked more real motion wise, but the actual textures and everything else didn't look as real. Especially if you tried to put hair on something. Like the hair was they
Yeah.
didn't get hair for a long time. Like hair is tough.
Yeah,
But
I don't remember who it was. There was two. I think it was two women recently that won an award for technology, and it was for textures of hair that they won, and it was because the way they made hair look real and that they won this award. And I just thought it was funny. I was like, dude, we've been doing CGI for years and years and years now, and I'm like, these guys are winning awards for hair textures,
yeah.
what I mean? It's pretty funny. Like,
And they couldn't CGI Cavill's mustache off? Like they couldn't do that? Like
I think somebody, come on, it's the Warner Brothers has the money for that. Like, come
like
on.
that's like I don't know. That seems like an intern job. I'm not a CGI guy.
I
Don't get me wrong. But
I agree
come on.
with you. I always thought that was a little bit fishy too. Like where people are, and
Marvel is de-aging Robert Downey Jr. and you can't CGI off a mustache. Like
Netflix
come on.
had a old ass had an old ass Robert De Niro looking younger. His movement
Right.
still looked like an old man in that movie. And if you watch that movie, it's like he looked younger, but he still moved like an old guy. But
Yeah.
but still, Benjamin Button, like, come on,
Right.
come on, man.
Warner Brothers is like, just fucking put some
Just
put some
just
face
put
cover on it.
just put some green tape over his mustache, and we'll green screen
Right.
in an upper lip. That's
And then
hilarious.
and dude, and then we could like we could edit it and put in Poseidon going like this under his nose, like releasing the kraken when he opens his mouth.
He's like, okay, I got this. Oh shit!
So Batman.
Watch. Hold on. I'm gonna do a trick here. This is gonna be fantastic.
Oh my God, you have a mustache.
Where's my Okay, we're done. Yeah. Anyway.
Reese says, or they could have just painted Cavill's mustache the same color as his skin. Like that, that would have worked as
That
well.
would have looked the same probably. Let's see here. Raj says 81 version is an operatic epic journey of a story
I agree.
like Greek myth itself. The remake felt way too rushed and divorced from the original mythos. I agree with that.
I agree as well.
A lot. And the funny thing is, the original is only 10 minutes longer, but felt more fleshed out and emotionally invested.
Right.
Yeah. And then
I did notice that the remake felt longer. The original is longer, but the remake felt longer. Not in a bad way. I'm not trying to say it's a bad movie or anything like that. But back to back, do not watch them back to back because it's not going to hold up.
What did you think of the dialogue in that movie? Did it feel like it was written by a 15-year-old, or did it feel like it was well written story? Because I haven't seen that 2010 version in years.
It was definitely built for more for 15-year-olds.
Mhm.
but that's the thing.
I said by a 15-year-old.
I know you did. Like, I don't know if it was written by a 15-year-old, but it was written more for 15-year-olds, whereas this one was written for grown-ups. And that's the thing, as a kid, that grandiose dialogue makes it like, when you're a little kid watching it, and you're not a 15-year-old, like when you're a teenager, like I teach teenagers, they are bonkers. They don't care about crap. They want action, boom, bang, bing, bong, boom. But as a younger kid, that grandiose dialogue like sticks with you. That grabs you. It really like means something because people don't talk like that in real life. And then as an adult, you understand what that grandiose dialogue means, so it holds more. When you're writing movies for people who are going to be aged out of this movie in 3 years, it doesn't. It doesn't hold up. And, I'm not saying this movie. I'm not. I don't want to beat on this movie, but compared to the original, yeah, it was definitely written for the teenage demographic, whereas the original was written for older and younger kids, or everybody pretty much.
If you think about, if you forget about the 2010 version and you say, hey, we're gonna remake Clash of the Titans, I'm like, yeah, that sounds like a great idea, because there's so many crap remakes that are made, you know what I mean, where it's like,
yeah,
and
that one could, yeah, I mean, that yes, that's a property that absolutely. Go ahead.
And a lot of them, a lot of times, it's like something good, like Total Recall or RoboCop that they're remaking, and you're like, why are you remaking this? Like, take something that was like Clash of the Titans is good, but it also is pretty like jankily made. Like, it's awesome, but it doesn't hold up anymore. But it kind of does, but it doesn't. So it's like in theory, like, this should have been amazing. Like, if they said, hey, we've got the perfect cast and we're gonna make a Clash of the Titans, like, it should be awesome,
Well, and so they had a sequel to the 2010 because it made 3 times its budget, and it I think, and
it was Wrath of the Titans was the see, I haven't seen that one yet. Have you seen that one?
I've seen it. I remember it being good. I actually rebought it. I was going to try and watch it before today, but I didn't get a chance to. But it made double what it was, double the budget, and they were like, "Nah, we're not going to make another one. It didn't make enough money," which I don't understand.
You're talking about it didn't triple. We're not going to make another one.
It went from triple to double, so they're like, "Nah, fuck it." Like, I don't understand that. Like, what are you gonna put out some other piece of crap? Like, but this property could definitely be picked up again and done very well. I would ask that whoever does it, yeah, you're gonna put CG in it, we know, but make the last big fight scene or whatever it is, just pay somebody to do some awesome stop motion animation and bring it to the kids. Like, it's still out there, it still exists. It's an awesome art form it's not dead, but for the movies, it's bring it back.
Get Schneider to do the to do one.
Sam Raimi could definitely do it. He did it for Evil Dead and stuff like that. But I mean, it's been years. But yeah, this property is due for a solid remake. Not to talk trash about the 2010 again. It was good. It was serviceable.
It worked, and I mean, it. You said it tripled its money, so it was a story that needed to be told again for this generation, and it was, and so that's good. Man, I sure loved seeing this one though. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure,
it was.
That Kraken to me was the Kraken. They changed it a little bit. He looked more modern and stuff, and then maybe scarier in the new one, but he's already a freaking giant monster with tentacles and everything everywhere. He was pretty scary in the original, but
dude, the Kraken's supposed to scare even Zeus and everybody. Everyone's supposed to be scared of the Kraken, which is kind of always weird to me. You know what I mean? Like the gods, they're like the gods, and the gods send down a shield and a sword and a helmet, like, hang on to this because you're going to have to use this later. And I'm like, why don't you just help him later when it comes time for that?
Just snap your fingers and kill a kraken.
Yeah, you're supposed to be, but I guess it doesn't work that way. I'm like, oh, because there's a certain boundary of destiny that the gods are also like trapped in that they can't change. So sorry, you have to go down this road. Blah blah blah. I have no control of this. Like you're supposed to be the Zeus, the king of the gods. Why can't you just make it happen? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, and so at the same time, they went to see the witches in both movies. The in the original, yeah,
the eye.
I want it.
That
And
was
it's
the
like
most traumatic as a kid. Was the witches?
It really was,
Yeah.
yeah. And whenever that hand comes up and it's still moving, it's like, oh my god, get out of there! Like,
I still remember the head of Medusa, the Gorgon. Only this, and I don't remember what else to say, but those are lines that are like from when I was a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I remember that. The eye.
Where is it? Where is it?
Yeah.
Because I always remember thinking, like, if I was Perseus, I'd chuck it over a cliff. Like, screw these. Like,
Yeah.
like, go find it. But in the original, they have an actual eye and stuff like that. It's not a crystal ball. Or, I'm sorry, not in the original. In the remake, they have an actual eye, and it's it's not as cool. It's not as I don't know, and it's much more like he outsmarts them. Again, he outsmarts them in the original, whereas in the new one, it's kind of like, yeah, fuck you, bitches, give me that eye, and then he's just like, so he's more badassitude, but it's not
It's more
that's
by
not
force and less by
every
wit.
yeah, everybody knows the tough guy. Like the tough guy doesn't always win. Like that's the hero is tough. He's smart. He's fast. He's strong. He's nice. He's you know. So they didn't get the hero of Perseus in the new one, and that wasn't Worthington's fault necessarily. He did fine, but and it wasn't necessarily the director's. It was just the reimagining of it. They wanted to make this badass, you know, and like honestly, I was thinking more American Perseus, but to me, the American Perseus is Conan. He's like,
Yeah.
he even tells the gods, if you want, I've always prayed to you. If you want to help me today, fine, but if not, to hell with you. Like, fuck you, I'm gonna do it on my own. Like, Conan,
To hell with you. Calabas is like is awesome in the
yeah,
original. He's like,
Mhm.
it's scary, dude. And like when he gets his hand cut off and he drips blood, and then the scorpions come out of the dirt, and
Mhm.
those were scary too. And like when I was a kid, that was like he always freaked me out.
Well, and so in the remake,
And that
he's
eagle
not
or the
he's not.
buzzard,
Oh, the buzzard. Yeah, dude,
buzzard
that
with the
scared the
cage
crap out of me,
that
man.
gets Andromeda's
Yeah,
ghost or like her
because it like
sleepwalking
yeah,
ghost
her
self.
soul or whatever,
Yeah,
and well, in the remake, Calibus is they changed the story, but the dad that drops in the ocean, he's actually in the remake, or not actually, but in the remake, he's Calibus, and he gets struck. Zeus strikes him with lightning, so it's not that he's turned into this devil, ugly figure. He's just struck by lightning, and then I mean, there's a whole different storyline going on in the remake, but um, and then yeah, his blood turns into the scorpions, but then they ride like they beat a couple of scorpions, and then some jinns come out, like genies, and then like they start riding them forever, and like they're their buddies or something. It's just it's not. I don't know. Again, it's
I,
not bad, but it's weird.
I'm trying to remember your dog out.
Yeah, he's trying to get in. Swayze.
I'm trying to remember the reasons, but Calibus is like he's supposed to marry the beautiful princess, and then like Zeus, is it Zeus gets jealous, or is it one of the
Yeah.
other gods gets jealous, and so then they make him ugly, and I'm like, what's with these jealous weak ass gods that are like, oh, we were going to afflict you, same thing they did with Medusa, you know what I mean, that you
Mhm.
piss off the gods, we're gonna go ahead and turn you into a hideous creature.
Yeah, Calibus he did something like something. He was bragging about marrying Andromeda or something like that, and yeah, he did it in a
I
temple.
I think they knocked over a Zeus statue and
Mhm.
I think they were just starting to say like, "Hey, we're the like I think they were calling themselves gods. We're like gods, and we don't need the
Mhm.
help of the
Right.
gods type of thing." And they're like, "Oh, okay, is that right? Okay, well, we're just gonna do this."
You wanna see? You wanna find out?
Yeah,
Raj says or Ree says, "Is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief a similar film?" I don't That's a good question. I haven't seen those.
I haven't
I'm
seen it
aware
either.
of them, but I don't know. Raj says the biggest difference between the original and the remake. The remake felt small scale story wise, which didn't match the physical scale of the production slash CGI. Original Lord of the Rings remake, original equals Lord of the Rings, remake equals Transformers. Wow, I thought Transformers were pretty bad, so I wouldn't go that far, Raj. Like it's not Transformers, but you're right in
If you're
line.
talking about a bunch of stuff moving around that is like
Yeah.
cluttered CGI, that the one concept I liked in the remake was Perseus's attitude and contempt for the gods.
I did like that as well. Like it so in the remake he doesn't he was the story changed. His mom didn't survive and he was picked up by fishermen. And the fishermen and sorry. And the fisherman and his wife had to um or they raised him. And then one of the gods killed him. Um so he didn't want anything to do with the gods. And like I said, that was to me again, I'm not European, but in a very American telling of the tale. Like, we are not for kings and queens and gods and this and that and the other. Um, and the American thing is very much independence, but at the same time, like, kind of even all his buddies are like, "Hey, man, you're a demigod. Like, just the gods are giving you stuff. We're trying to win here. Like, go ahead and do it. Like, if you got it, flaunt it, man. Like, let's go."
Yeah.
Uh, so that kind of dynamic didn't make sense. If everybody on his team was like, "No, fuck the gods. We're gonna do this on our own." And at certain times they brought that in, but still, like, yeah, it didn't mesh. But I did
In
like that. I did that like that as well.
in the old one with Harry Hamlin as Perseus, he's more like a Disney prince or something. He's
Yeah.
completely oblivious. Okay.
Oh,
Blah blah
a
blah.
sword.
Yeah, there's no drama or anything. He's like, oh, thank you for these weapons. Look at the beautiful princess. He's just kind of bumbling
Yeah.
around.
I'm gonna go win right quick. I'll be back. Like,
Hold my beer. Yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed watching it. I really I'm looking forward to watching the remake later tonight. I'm gonna watch it later tonight probably because I rented it
if
even though it's streaming.
your
I've heard,
Lord Internet allows.
yeah, I rented it even though it's streaming for free on HBO. I was like, dude, I gotta watch this. Um, yeah. So if you had to say, with Clash of the Titans 81 versus 2010, I'm sure I know the verdict for you.
Mhm.
I will say before we hit that verdict, I think it's funny, like you were saying, Burgess Meredith is saying, "Don't hit it. Think. Use your mind." But right around that time, he was also getting ready to go hit that rock for Rocky 3 came out
Yeah,
the
right.
following year. So what a dynamic, wide. Scope of acting ability to be like, he'll knock you to tomorrow, rock. You know,
Yeah, that's a good point. Damn, that's a good point.
yeah.
He's such a great actor.
The
God, he's
Burgess
so great.
Meredith's the best, dude. And we're watching him help Perseus 1 minute. With little do we know is that Clubber Lang's about to give him a heart attack. Son of a
Rocky
bitch.
is Perseus. Rocky is Perseus. Apollo Creed is the Kraken.
Yes.
We've got a new versus, guys.
What about Ivan Drago versus Clubber Lang? What is it? Clubber Lane or it's Lang?
Yeah,
Lang.
Clubber Lang.
Who would win?
See, I don't know.
We
I don't know if I've
we
said
never
it on here, but there needs to be like Stallone's making like the Creeds and like the offshoots of his Rocky movies. There needs to be one called The Ballad of Clubber Lang because we never find out what happened to him, man. Like he just Rocky, like everybody else, all the other guys, we find out. Even Spider Rico's in Rocky Balboa. We find out what happened to him.
Yeah.
Like Clubber Lang just disappears. So there needs to be a movie like it can be shot documentary style called The Ballad of Clubber Lang. And
Dude, we need to get a hold of Sylvester Stallone right now because he's
Raj,
not.
get on that for us, Raj.
Yeah. Somebody contact Sylvester and tell him we need that. I love the name too, The Ballad of Clubber Lang.
And it tells what happened to him, why, he'd at least get a rematch. I mean, shit, everybody gets a rematch nowadays.
Yeah. Rajni says Drago would kill Lang. He had those Soviet steroids. And the thing that's funny is like Rocky beat Clubber Lang, but sometimes you got like one guy that could beat the other guy, but the other guy can't. They like it. It's not always just even. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like this guy has more money than this guy, and this guy has more. It's like my uppercut might not phase you, but it might phase somebody that that could beat me. You know what I mean? Like it's.
I could see. Yeah, Clubber Lang could like break some Russian ribs real quick. I could see. That.
You ain't so bad. You ain't nothing.
You ain't so bad.
Let's see. Rocky IV director's cut. That's right. Rocky IV director's cut comes out. Wait, when?
In a
few days, dude. Next week we might do a little Rocky talk because this Rocky IV director's cut has 40 minutes. 40 minutes of additional footage. 40 minutes.
Awesome.
Yeah. And like who wants to see 40 minutes? I'm like, me. I want to see 40 minutes more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
For our European friends, whatever you learned in school was wrong. Rocky ended the Cold War. It wasn't Reagan. It wasn't Gorbachev. It was Rocky that ended the Cold War.
Rocky did end the Cold War. I think they'll have Clubber Lang's son in a new Creed movie. Just rumors, though.
I mean, they need to do something because he was too good of a character to just disappear like that. Like,
I don't even know if I should be talking about this, but I was having a conversation with my buddy, and he was.
I'm ready to cancel you. Just be ready. I'm ready. To cancel you.
He was talking. It's because it involves other people, but he was talking to our buddy, or our buddy that may be on. It won't be this week, but it might be the following week. Chris Housen, who wrote a horror sci-fi novel, and he's having a book signing Friday. I'm going to be emceeing the event and interviewing him and asking some questions, and then we were going to maybe rig it up to where we broadcast live stream that event, but I think it's going to be more of a pain in the butt. I've said, hey man, let's just have you come onto the show with me and Curtis, and we'll interview on the show, and we'll pretend that I haven't already asked you these intelligent questions that I'm going to write this week, and we'll just answer them all again for our audience, and then it'll be fun. And but one time they were in a bar in New York City, and on one hand, Chris was explaining to the bartender that Rocky ended the Cold War. Meanwhile, one of the other friends who shall not be named was in the middle of almost getting a fight with a Russian guy in a bar in New York. So it's like you're having a fight with a Russian, and then and while this guy's explaining the end of the Cold War, thanks to Rocky IV.
Rocky ended the Cold War. If I can change, if you can change,
everyone can change. Yeah. So like this is an oxymoron. We got people trying to fight Russians over here, and we got people talking about the end of the Cold War over here. Anyway, it's pretty funny. Clink was there. He told me the story. So if he's not watching now, when he hears this on repeat, he'll enjoy it. Let's see what else we got in the chat, and then we're gonna jump. Oh, cool! The new James Bond came out on VOD today. That's exciting. Video on demand. So if you haven't seen it, you can check that out. Let's see. I think I find it funny in hindsight how Rocky training in a barn with cows beat Drago training in a high-tech Soviet gym in the Kremlin. Dude,
that's the natural muscle, baby.
That's right. You can't cheat with technology.
You can work out all day long. You go chopping some wood or something like that. It's a different story.
Lumberjacks carrying logs up hills. Come on, dude. It makes complete sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, I work. I enjoy working out. I stay in shape. Well, not right now, but normally I stay in shape. And most of my life has been working construction. You get out there, and there's guys that are just jacked, and they've never worked out of the day in their life, but they got that natural muscle, and it's like you do those, just like all those little muscles that you don't think about working out. Man, those
They've
come into
got them.
play when yeah, they've got them,
Come
and
on,
they come into
corn-fed
play.
rednecks. Yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah.
real. Like, I mean, they come into play whenever you're doing stuff like that. So yeah, you're right, Raj. But at the same time, Batman got his back broken and could like go do some sit-ups and push-ups in a deep dark hole and beat Bane. So, like, like it is a little bit of a little bit of whimsy in our lives.
I've never seen this one. Reese asked if we could do.
Right.
Can you do on Her Majesty's Secret Service versus No Time to Die, since they're similar films?
I have no idea what either of those are. Let me write
No
them down.
Time to Die is the new
Oh,
James
yeah,
Bond.
okay. Okay, yeah.
And
That must be probably another.
it is on Her Majesty's Secret Service is a 1969 James Bond where George Lazenby is James Bond. Telly Savalas is in it.
Who's
Telly
Bond?
Savalas. Remember Telly Savalas?
Well, I remember, but he's Bond.
No, he's a Ernest Stavro Blofeld. He sounds like the villain, but I don't know. But yeah, this is an old one.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest Bond fan in the world, so I haven't seen it. But I mean, we definitely could.
This is old school. Bond is actually stop motion. I'm just kidding.
Oh, damn it! You had me for a minute.
Let's see here. Was thinking about a comeback, but you destroyed me with the Batman comment.
Yeah, he gets his back broken, and some guy pulls him with a rope, and then he like does some sit-ups and push-ups, and it's like, all right, now it's time to go, Bane. And
yeah, you're
like,
good. Cool. Just give me a couple of ibuprofen. I got this. All right. Well, let's get into some. Let's get into a little bit of. George Lazenby is actually Australian and tricked everyone. That's awesome. That's good to know. I'm gonna throw that little deet out when they're when somebody's like, "Why don't you have Christian Bale be what did you call be Bond?" And then they're like, "He's too Australian." But like,
Or you think Jackman?
Anybody? They're like they'll be like, "He has to be British." I'm like, "Does he?" Well, I definitely couldn't pull it off. That's for sure. Hello, I'm 007. That doesn't work out.
I could pull it off. Hello, I'm 007. 00 Baker.
Hey, what do you call it when Batman skips church?
Halloweenies.
Christian Bale.
Oh, snap.
Hey-o! All right. Oh, boy. Okay, stop! Oh, man, you broke the show.
That was good.
All right, we're back. Whew, that's a good way to keep people from telling shitty jokes. Let's talk about some Eternals, man.
All right, guys, we're going to spoil a little bit.
Eternals time. If you haven't seen this movie, you need to go. Unless you don't care and you want to hear us talk about it.
That is true.
So I'm going to... The Eternals movie is directed by Chloe Zhao, who did Nomadland, is a different kind of Marvel movie than what we're used to. And some people are loving it, some people are not loving it, and it's really crazy because it's it's really divided. And some people are taking advantage of this and saying, "Oh, it's the lowest rated Marvel movie of all time," and making a bunch of drama because it gets clicks. And then the movie came out and it had actually decent fan ratings. So it's really weird. Like, what's going on with this movie? Is it bad? Is it good? Is it a little above? Is it good but not what people expected? Is it people is it that we just had crappy movies for the whole pandemic, so now anybody will just accept anything? And so people, instead of saying, dude, this really wasn't that good, people are like, oh, it wasn't too bad. Like, what is the real deal with this movie? And also, is this good by just regular movie standards, but not honoring the comic, so people that are comics fans are pissed off about it? Is it good by movie standards, but people are used to a fun action comedy like you would get in, say, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that's what you've come to get, that fun feeling, adventure feeling, and you get into this and it's got an intense dark feeling? Is that the deal? What's the deal? What's the deal with grape nuts? You open the box, no grapes, no nuts. What's the deal? What's the deal with this movie? Is it good? Is it bad? Or is it just weird? You know? And I've got a couple of different ideas on it. I'll say real quick before I hand the torch over to you. I thought the cast was fantastic. They were all really good. Kit Harington is the Zendaya of this movie. He's in it for like 7 minutes. You know what I mean? Like,
And wait, who's Kit Harington?
Kit Harington is Jon Snow, and he's the one
Oh,
who's
yeah.
who's the Black Knight. He's like, everybody's like, Kit Harington's in this movie. Everybody loves him because of Game of Thrones, but he's the Zendaya of this movie. He's in there, but there are some post-credit scenes that kind of hint to his future, so that's really cool. And Angelina Jolie is great. The cast is great. Gemma Chan's kind of the lead of this movie. She plays Cersei. Richard Madden is in this. He's Icarus. Selma Hayek, Ajax, she kind of leads the gang. Don Lee is Gilgamesh. Him and Thena are very close. And Thena sounds like Athena. What's really cool about this movie is that these people, for those who haven't seen it yet, who hung around anyway, this is a group of people that have been sent to Earth and that had come here in a giant ship and have been here for 7,000 years. And the humans on this planet were very primitive when they got here, and they kind of hung out and made sure and kept them safe. And what are the bad guys? The
Deviants.
Deviants, yeah. There's deviants are a possible threat. So they just basically, their job is to babysit humans and not intervene too much. They kind of like spoon feed them a little technology to keep them to move them along their way, and just watch them grow, and they fall in love with human beings, and they're here for 7,000 years, and it's pretty cool. Like I think it's cool. What I really like about this movie is that they go through history, and you get to see little periods of history. And I think it's exciting. It actually took me to another place that made me imagine, like, dude, how cool would it be if I was there with, some Aztecs, or if I was there, not that part because that was pretty intense, but if I was there with it at Babylon, and this is why Babylon, the city of Babylon, under their protection, and then like different things like plowing the fields, and it just kind of was like gave me a little National Geographic view through time travel of seeing, because if I could time travel, I would be going to different places to see that stuff, because I think it's fascinating, and they kind of gave you a little taste of that here and there. So I thought that was sprinkled throughout the movie. I thought it was cool that they did that. And then after a long time, it's like, okay, they're just living among us and living their best lives, and then some stuff goes down, and they have to get back together and talk and figure it out and whatnot. But I thought that part of it was really cool. Anyway, what did you think? And I'll get back to some other thoughts.
Well, the other thought, you're exactly right. That was the cool part of the movie. That was the cool part of the comic. That should have been. Not to get into negatives yet, or
yeah,
whatever.
I mean, be negative. That's what we're here for. Because
that should have been the movie. Like, it seems like Phase 4 is saying we're going to put out these properties. We don't know if they're going to do well, so we're going to cram everything into one movie. I feel the same way as Shang-Chi as I did about this one. It is not about representation, guys. Just to get that out of the way. Like, representation was probably my favorite thing about this movie.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, that should have been the movie. It should have been the Eternals interacting with history throughout time. They're not supposed to interact, but we've already shown. You show in the movie. It's in the comics, and they show in the movie. They do interact with humanity. you know, what's the little guy's name? Druig, Druig
Yeah, he can actually
basically
mind
capture.
control.
Yeah, and he can mind controls a whole camp of a whole city of people, like they do. Okay, it happens. The Eternals, the Celestials didn't strike them down or anything. Nothing happened. Okay, in the comics, that's what happens, and that's what should happen in this movie. Like it should. The first movie should just be them going through time and like interacting with human events and showing this stuff, and then maybe hint at you know the what's supposed to be the payoff at the end that the Celestial is coming out, and then the second movie comes out and more stuff happens and they go through history more and it's like, well, we know the Celestial is coming at some point, blah blah blah, and they hinted that again, and then it should lead up into some MCU changing. Killing a Celestial is a fucking huge event, okay?
Yeah.
Like like that's a big deal. That doesn't happen in one movie. You don't do that in one movie.
So you think they
Like
overstuffed this movie? Like there's
this
just
was
too much
fucking.
in.
It
Yeah.
was, yeah, and comic wise, dramatic wise, like it was everywhere. It was all over the place. And like that's the thing, you don't kill a Celestial like that. Like I think Thor did it once, okay, and I might be wrong, but I can go dig through my comics if we've got time. But I think he did it once, or maybe not even killed it, but fended one off. And like they're doing like it's nothing. And those are a major part of the Marvel universe. And that's the thing too, like this, like the part that you're talking about that was the best, I agree, that was the best part. And they could have shown that through the whole movie, and it would have been this dramatic film. They could have talked about, they could have had their inner struggles of the Eternals, and we would have got to know them. And then in part two, and it might not have been this major fucking $1 billion movie. It's not right now anyway. Like, and then we could have got to know them better in part two. And like they still interfere. Should they? And that's the thing, the human struggle. Should they interfere? Should we tamper with the humans? Should we like help them with this, or should we let them fight, or blah blah blah? Those are the internal struggles. That's the dramatic part that should be occurring here. And instead, they're fighting a bunch of CGI, werewolves or something, like which the deviants were not in the Marvel comics. The deviants were thinking beings. Anyway, go ahead. But yeah,
No, no, no.
you're right. That was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that part of it. Somebody said you could have taken the deviants out of this movie. I think that it might have been you talking about that, but I've heard that, and like it would have still been a good movie. Like you could have not had him in it.
It would have been the same movie. Yeah.
Yeah, you could have not had him in there. But the problem is you would have had no action scenes, because that's
Right.
like, we need to see these guys fight, so let's have the deviants so that the kids get the action. And I just voice cracked I was excited just to
It was glorious. It was glorious
to get all the backstory and draw. I like drama movies, you know what I mean, and I love action comedies and everything else too. For me, I thought it was the idea of these beings being here for so long. Are they going to get bored? What are they like? This one guy
Right.
becomes a Bollywood star. You know what I mean? Then you got this other one.
That was great. That was great.
Yeah, they're teaching, and he was the funny part of the movie. He was really good. What is his name? Kamal Nanjiani. He was hilarious, and him having a manservant butler running around was like honestly, it reminded me of like having like double or what's his name, Indiana Jones having a guy running around with him. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Through the desert. Just like it's a funny to have an older dude character running around like Marcus Brody. You'll never catch him. He blends right in. I've got this comment just popped in. What is he saying here? Do you think the flaws had Feige, Disney interference involved in Eternals, or is this on Chloe Zhao? I really don't think it's on anybody. I had a theory that possibly, this is before I saw it, that possibly maybe Feige was letting her do whatever she wanted because she has an Oscar award last year as the greatest director, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna let the greatest director do what the greatest director does, and also because this is a different, like more of a epic, dramatic movie, I trust her. I'm gonna let her do her thing, and also, dude's made in 26 movies that have all had they vary in their feel, but they play in the same court. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think looking at this crazy looking, this film looks visually different than other
It's
Marvel
beautiful,
movies too. It's
but it's so
beautiful.
beautiful.
It's
It's very
gorgeous.
beautiful.
It's gorgeous. And I feel like those guys are like, dude, we've done 26 Marvel movies. This person is making a beautiful film. I'm gonna let her do what she's doing because it's fantastic. And it's like you know, it's like every now and then you might put out a bunch of rockers, but you're going to want to do a power ballad that's like, wow, this is completely different, but it's awesome. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's what this is. And honestly, I think it's okay. You know, like
I think it's okay.
yeah,
Like you said it right.
yeah.
It's okay. And that's, I mean, like it's got a B, I think, or whatever from some scores
I think
thing
it's
I saw.
86%
Yeah,
audience rating, I believe.
or maybe it's got a B plus, and then the lowest Marvel score is a B. It's somewhere I saw that. Like that doesn't. I'm not worried about that. Like, but I don't think. See, I wonder if there's money men above Feige somewhere.
Well,
Like
there
I
is.
really,
The
yeah,
Disney guys, Bob
and
Chapek is.
because then there's your villain. Okay,
Oh, for sure, he's for
but
sure. He's a complete business guy. Bob Iger before him was about relationships with talent, uh, honorable stuff. This guy is all about numbers and doesn't care about upsetting people. That's why we got in the whole Scarlett Johansson
oh,
lawsuit
right.
was because that guy, he has zero tact. He's a bit. He's like, it's like taking a CEO for Coca-Cola who's trying to look at the bottom line and throwing him in and has zero like this guy was in charge of parks.
Doesn't even care about the creative aspect.
He doesn't care about creativity. He also doesn't care about politics. I don't mean it's like
Right.
government. I mean the politics of the music or the film business with people's feelings and you know, agents and producers and all that and like history and all that. Doesn't worry about pissing people off. He's like whatever. It's the money. I'm the boss and this is money and this is my company that I'm running, and that's what he thinks. And it's like where somebody else is like, hey, we have to be cool because this guy's friends with these actors and has the same agent as this person, and if I upset this person, you know, I'm going to upset their people, and there's a whole lot more going on with the film business than just numbers. There's talent and feelings and you know, relationships that's half of the battle in
Really? Yeah,
Hollywood is relationships, and people work with who they like, and if they have a positive experience, and that's it's the same thing with Warner Brothers. That's why all these directors got pissed off at Warner Brothers because they were putting their movies out on HBO on instead of in the theater during the pandemic. But they paid all those people off, you know what I mean, ahead of time to not piss. Even though they all got pissed off anyway. Anyway, we've run that subject into the ground. But anyway, you're right. But like with this movie, I feel like it's people were expecting an action, just a different kind of movie,
No,
and that's not
but
what this movie was, you know. And
but
go
I
ahead.
no, I like Marvel. I think that's the thing. I was hoping. I like Marvel going a different route. You know, them keeping everybody satisfied with little snippets here and there. You got to have. I'm not saying you didn't have you keep the action out. I'm not saying that by any means, but you got to have action in it. But like they've got the fantasy, you know, era. They've got the sci-fi. They've got the superhero, straight up superhero stuff. Hopefully, and this is what scares me with Blade and all that other stuff, bringing in the dark or horror related properties. You know, hopefully they do that right. But this could have been like the dramatic. I was hoping that it was going to be the like you were talking about, you know, the Chloe Zhao dramatic like film, and like yeah, not every Marvel fan's going to be there for it and or get it. And that's the thing too. I'm a Marvel homer. I want, I talk shit about Shang-Chi. I talk shit about this one now. I'm going to.
Yeah.
Uh but I'm a Marvel homer. Like I will defend Marvel. I'm not against like I am so happy. I grew up with DC movies forever, and they were good, thank goodness. But at the same time, like I was wishing for a Marvel movie, and now that we've got them, I love them. But like it didn't know what it wanted to be, man. It didn't know if it wanted it really wanted to some dramatic stuff like should we intervene? Does it matter that Earth dies? Does it really matter? Whenever we're gonna save billions. Like that's a huge concept. That's a huge dramatic concept. If we all die, but we know that billions of other planets will be created from our death, like that's a greater good kind of concept. It could have gone into all these aspects.
They glazed over that. I mean,
Yeah, but you're right.
they glazed over it.
It was just like, hey, you want to talk about this for a minute? Nah, let's fight some CGI werewolves. Like, and like, in going into that dramatic realm would have been great for Marvel. It would have been it would draw in more fans. So like not every Marvel fan or not every casual fan is going to be like, I don't care about this, or like I don't like this, But some people are going to be like, man, that's a good Marvel movie, and
You
it'll bring them into the other ones. It'll draw them into the fold.
you know what I
You know,
think they should have done, and I feel like hearing you talk about that, I feel like the stuff with the Bollywood scene, and then it gets into the comedy, and then you end up with the documentary guy running around like Butler,
right?
a guy running around. That was a majority of the comedy that was thrown into this movie.
And it was done well.
It was done well. I feel like you could have taken that out and quit trying to make it funny and just make it more dramatic. And like because they're throwing that in there because it is a Marvel movie and they got to have a little splash with a little bit of comedy to make it a Marvel movie. And I'm like, pretend that that red stamp is not on there and just
Right.
make go full. I think if they would have gone full drama, a little bit more intense, it would have. You know what I
And
mean?
you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and or you can spread that out. Like I said, like it seems like Marvel is cramming everything into one movie for these new properties. They didn't do that with Guardians. Guardians was like, here's an introduction. If it catches, great. If it not, like it's going to be a good movie, and it can be a one off. And I've said repeatedly on this show, on whatever show I've been on, like this is probably going to be a one off. They did not set it. They obviously did not plan on this being a one off. Like they should have. Like that's what I mean. Throw it out there and do it right, and plan on it being a one off. Um, talk about what you feel about that while I kiss some children goodnight.
All right, cool. Yeah, I think let's see what they're saying in the chat real quick. An MCU movie with nuance, depth, and dramatic operatic drama would definitely be an MCU movie I'd watch and enjoy. Reason I'm a Nolan and Snyder. Hey there, gang! Look at these guys. All right. Reason I'm a Nolan and Snyder cultist. Yeah, I feel like this movie could have gone there, but again, it was spackled with a little bit of Marvel. I feel like they felt like they had to because it's Marvel. But if they would have just embraced the just make it a dramatic epic movie and don't worry about it. And so maybe it was a little interference from Feige, saying, okay, well, this is great. We're going to give them a little of this just as an insurance policy to make sure that they don't hate it, and everybody wins. And I don't know.
Well, that's the thing. If they had given a little bit of it, I mean, I would have been like happy. But it's just again. So this was my problem with Shang-Chi. And it's the same problem. So basically, I have a problem with Phase 4. Okay, I actually just watched Black Widow. I'm sorry. I just watched that last night, and that's technically a Phase 4, but it was probably written,
Like
way before.
93.
I'm pretty.
That's how long
Dude,
I felt like I waited for that
dude.
movie.
uh, I mean, it was a it was a very good movie. And it fit, but it was prequel, so that doesn't necessarily count. But the newer Phase 4 stuff, so they're introducing new characters. Okay, that's I get that. So when we got the first Iron Man, for most non Marvel fans, they might have known who Iron Man was, but they didn't know Iron Man or whatever. Um, and same thing with Captain America. Same thing with Thor. You've got the introductory movies, which may or may not be good. There was not the expectation level there. Okay. But there were thousands and thousands, if not millions, probably millions of Marvel fans going like, oh my God, we got a Thor movie. Oh my God, we got a Captain America movie, So it's going to be successful regardless. That's not the case for Shang-Chi. That's not the case for Eternals. Eternals, Kirby literally wanted to keep this separate from the Marvel Universe. That's why he did try to do the same thing in DC with the New Gods. And in I don't even know what brand it is, but I've got one of his last comics called Secret City, and it was the same idea. They were, he was building his own mythology, and
It's like he
the
wanted to do sci-fi and he wanted to do superheroes, but he wanted to keep them separate. And then
right,
we've mixed our sci-fi and our superhero together.
but that's what he did so well. So
Mhm.
Marvel was of course like, well, let's bring these guys in, But that these are deep dive guys. Like Shang-Chi was like, and that's the thing too. Like they're not. They're trying to. Thor was just a Thor movie. Iron Man was just an Iron Man movie. Captain America was just a Captain America movie. And then we got the other Avengers. Well, the Incredible Hulk. We'd been there before, but we like we had those core guys, and that's the Avengers. And then you brought that in with this one. Like Shang-Chi was not a super popular, and he was a street hero. He was like a daredevil hero. He was like, his power was he was the master of kung fu. He could do kung fu better than anybody in the world. That was his freaking power. And now he's got like these rings and he's fighting dragons and shit. Like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
The
Hi-
Eternals.
His rings too are tied to something bigger than that's outside. And
They
that's the
talk about
deal.
it in the Eternals a little bit because that part where he's like, "What are you going to give us bracelets?"
Oh
There's
yeah.
one scene, yeah, and it's like that's the 10 rings. So,
Well, this thing is it's the scope of this movie is way bigger
and it
than
should be
Loki invading New York City.
right.
This is big. Not those guys are tiny, and this story is this big, and those people are here. So it's like we could be having a conversation, and meanwhile the ants in the ant pile are doing their thing down there.
Yeah,
That's what Winter Soldier
that's it.
is the ant down there, while you and I are having a bigger, that's the scale and scope of this movie.
And
So it's like I'm like that's what kind of weirds me out. I'm like when people are like, dude, I didn't like it, blah blah blah. I'm like guys, it's just different. It's
but
a different thing. It's
but
telling a
you're
different story. It's got they're related, but it's like I- it's
you're
like
you're absolutely right though,
yeah.
no, but you're right, and that's the point. But it shouldn't have been crammed into one movie, man. Like you're right. Like that's the thing, because in the comics, the Eternals, uh,
Wait, say
they
that one
didn't
more
see.
time.
I'm sorry, not the Eternals. In the comics,
Oh, I was
the
gonna say
Celestials.
you're right again one more
You're
time.
right.
I'm just kidding.
You
Go ahead.
no, you're yeah, you are like you are right. Like that's the crux of the idea is that in the comics, the Celestials, they didn't seed life, but they followed the evolutionary tract of a species, and they would come back. And at the very end, sorry, spoilers here, we've already said, they say we're going to come back and we're going to judge this planet, and it'll die or it'll live. Okay, that's what they did. um, and they came back and they judged if the civilization can continue or not. And they created a race to protect them. The first race they created were the deviants. The deviants didn't work. They're kind of like in the movie, they ended up preying on humans as well. So then they created the Eternals to protect humans, not just from deviants, but like to protect humans. Um, and then we find out it's to protect the celestial egg, blah blah. Okay, but like all of that being crammed into this one movie, like it seems, and it's this cosmic scale. So that's the thing. It should be, this is separate for a while, and just like it was in the comics, this is
Yeah.
separate. Like, this is something that's been going on all of history. This is something that's going to continue to go on, and then when a big event happens, something huge, like Eternal shouldn't cross over until like some fucking huge thing happens, something bigger than Thanos. And they even say in the film, like, this planet saved half the universe. Like, they brought half the universe, like, and anybody, like, I can't imagine anybody, much less a Celestial, being like, yeah, all right, half the universe, okay, because that's half the Celestials too. Like the Infinity Gauntlet is more powerful than the Celestials in the comics. But you're right. Like, that's the thing, is that they do go together, and they like it will coalesce, but they're separate for now. Like, they crammed it all into this one movie though, and it was just like such a mess. Like,
Well, they all showed up. You figure out their relationships. You figure out that they love the Earth. They're there to protect. There's deviants. They don't really explain the deviants at the beginning. Then later, Icarus disappears, and then the other one kind of gets left hanging, Cersei, and then so she kind of moves on, and then time pops up, and then all of a sudden we have deviants popping up, and then we get the real story, which is that the deviants were there to protect the egg. The egg is supposed to go in the Earth, and every billion years you have Celestials are born, and some planets will use human life as their battery to
intelligent life. It has to be
intelligent life.
intelligent, because they have to evolve, yeah.
So they have to. That's why they're nursing them to become intelligent life the whole time, and giving them technology and watching them grow and parenting this civilization. So these Celestials are, I mean, the Eternals are like the parents almost of the human race, watching them grow, watching them save themselves from Thanos and do all these things, and they're not allowed to interfere, and they just watch. So that's like, they're basically their pets. We are the Eternals' pets, and then we find out the truth, and then Icarus he follows orders. He's like, dude, we have orders. This is our purpose. This is why we're here. And the other ones are like, F that. I love my dog. I'm not gonna let my dog, no. And he's like, nope, sorry, we got to do this. And like, I mean, it was well told. It was just like, again, I think you're right. A little bit of the deviance scenes that were forced in there. They were stuffed in there so that we could have some action, and then some comedy was stuffed in there so we can have some laughs. And I think that, but like, if you look at it, like the idea that this guy is like, all of a sudden these two that are in love with each other, one of them is protecting her pets, and he's like, no, we have to stick to the thing, to the point where they're fighting with each other, and you got, all of a sudden they become divided and they're fighting each other, and this guy's more powerful than all of them, and it's like it's a pretty dramatic story.
Well, and so that's part of the issue too, is that Icarus was somewhat of a Superman hero character in the Marvel universe. Thor has always been Marvel's superhero, or Superman.
Right.
But Icarus was, again, designed to be outside of the Marvel universe, but he was a Superman hero. And then at the end, spoilers, he flies into the sun. And maybe that doesn't kill him, but he's going to kill himself. And like, all of that, like that was rushed.
I thought that was awesome, because one, you got he's upset because of he had to fight the love of his life.
Right.
He couldn't kill her. He's upset. Now he's shamed because he's all of his best friends and basically his family. He just fought against and wounded his family. He thought that he was going to win, and there was going to be a great reset, and they would all be mind wiped and then end up somewhere else together, and it wouldn't matter. But he lost, and now he's got the shame of losing. And after fighting his own people, he's riddled with shame and the love of his life, and all of that. And he now flies into the sun to kill himself. Also, giving the story, basically, it's a nice nod to the story of Icarus flying too close to the sun and his wings burning off. Yeah, all that's poetic. I thought it was great.
I'm not saying that you're right. You're right. That was good, but I'm saying you're killing off fucking Icarus. That's kind of a big deal.
I
Like,
have a feeling he's not going to die. I think something's going
I
to
agree.
happen.
I agree too.
Yeah.
Um, uh, and while we're talking about it, the CG. This was probably the worst Marvel CG I've seen. Like when we watched the original Clash of the Titans from
That I
1981.
thought for a minute I thought I was watching the Eternals. That like when I was watching that.
Like well, and the remake from 2010 and the CG or the effects were better in those than they were in some of this. Like that's weird. That's very strange to me. Like in Shang-Chi wasn't as noticeable. Like, you fight giant dragons and stuff fighting. Like in other Marvel movies, it's noticeable as well. But like in this one, it was just like from the get go, the CG is like very very noticeable, and I didn't understand. Like maybe they put their budget into actors, but the CG was not good.
I,
And
I agree with you, and I was thinking about that too. I think they need to do things like focus on animal expressions or focus on people's facial expressions, because you had Schmeagol and you had Thanos that had like real facial expressions and acting, and it translated, and human beings are connected to facial expressions and looking at somebody's eyes and all that, and we react to that. So I think seeing some hideous thing with multiple eyes that like it like
it's a monster. Oh,
yeah,
monster.
like Snoke. You look at Snoke in Star Wars. It doesn't look human enough to feel anything for that. It doesn't evoke I'm like, that's a convoluted mess of a CGI mutated creature. But you look at Thanos and you're like, and he delivers something, and you're like, okay, I'm getting that because you got Josh Brolin's intense gaze coming through, But
that's a good point. No, but and at the same time, like it bothered me because in the comics, the deviants were not just these wild beast animals. They were offshoots of they were the first try at the Eternals. Like and again, so in the movie, the Eternals are replicants almost. They're not human. They can't reproduce. They're these biomechanical things.
Is this? Are you talking about Eternals? Or are you talking about the first, the Deviants?
Well, the Eternals as well, but in the comics, like Eternals can mate with Deviants and so on and so forth. The Deviants were the first offshoot, and they were thinking beings. They weren't just but they decided to use humanity for their own gains. Just like any predator would. It's the same thing. It's still predator, but it's using humanity for their own gains. And that's the thing. At the end, spoilers. Star Fox, who is
Harry
Eros,
Styles
came in with actually the worst CG of Marvel history, Pip the Troll.
Pip the Troll.
We're talking about Pip.
Which is Patton Oswalt's voice.
I
enjoyed that part of it.
That's gonna be good. Yeah.
And Harry Styles, somebody was like, "Dude, how do you feel about Harry Styles being Star Fox?" And I said, "Well, dude, he's got good hair and he's a lead singer, dude. I fucking back that guy, whatever he does. I'm good."
And Arrows, like, so it's like they're going down the rabbit hole. This all leads. I think this is leading back to Adam Warlock, which is going to be in Guardians 3. Pip the Troll was a member of the Infinity Watch.
Adam Warlock's been cast too. I can't remember the actor's name. Yeah.
The Meet the Millers kid.
Mm-hmm.
But like they're cramming. So a lot of people felt like with Iron Man 2. Let's talk about this. So with Iron Man 2, a lot of people were like, that's barely an Iron Man movie. They crammed all this stuff in to make it basically lead up to the Avengers. And I never noticed that, honestly. Like, I was just so excited, I didn't care. I
Yeah.
didn't notice it. But like, they're cramming so much in with these, like it's I don't know, it's overkill. These like Iron Man 2 is a good movie on its own. It might not be one of the best, but it's a damn good movie. These they're just putting so much stuff in with Phase 4.
Well,
Like,
I think they're planting the seeds in the post-credit scenes to go off and do other things. I don't know if you noticed, but
but
the word is and well, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
no, I was just gonna say Arrows or Star Fox is not by any means a huge character. Like, he is a like side character at best. Like, if there's a huge Arrows fan out there or Star Fox fan out there, sorry, but like his and basically his power is manipulating women. Like, he's
Yeah.
Arrows. Like, that's the like, and so he manipulates women to do what he wants. Um, and
Well, if you got to get somebody else to come in and say, "Hey, Cersei's in trouble. I know where she is, and I've got one of these orbs." What other character would you have done that instead of him?
I don't know. The orbs didn't exist in the comics. I don't like. But
Or who's an Eternal that reports to Erisham? Is that his name, Erisham?
in the movie, yeah, like
Yeah,
but that's what I mean. They were just Celestials. They were like they were the Celestials. They didn't, and that's the thing. They didn't speak in the comics. That's a Homer kind of complaint. But in the comics, they didn't speak. There was no like you couldn't talk to a Celestial. There was no, you know.
I guess that's
But
what the orb's for. Yeah,
yeah,
I
there
want
you
to
go.
talk to Optimus Prime, and then he goes, "Autobots, roll out," and you're like, "Oh, I mean,
Fuck yeah.
Ajax." Yeah, it was the same voice. The guy who did his voice has played
Oh, okay.
Optimus Prime. That's why I was saying that. Um,
Oh,
yeah, well, I'm with you, dude. Pip looked terrible.
it
It was
was
bad.
yeah,
It
it
was
was bad.
bad. And the main guy when Athena, Angelina Jolie is fighting the other guy in the cave, and he started to evolve a little more, and his face kind of
Right?
get some
Yeah.
human stuff, but still, it still looked pretty bad. Like,
And that's what I mean. Like, it would have been better again. So we could have had several movies where the Eternals are trying to. They could still be protecting humanity against the deviants, but the deviants are preying on humanity's darker nature, and the Eternals are trying to put them on the right path, evolutionarily and just morally. And this could have been a human struggle that's going on. Like, it's the whole left shoulder right shoulder thing with the angel and the devil, that we see in cartoons all the time. And instead it's like, well, here's some fucking monsters, go fight them, like, as if it's the same old thing as Star Wars. Like,
I
humanity craves power. Like, we don't need some alternate thing to make us go to the dark side. Like, if somebody's like, hey, you want some more power, most of humanity will be like, yes please, let's go dark side.
I don't think they wanted to spend that much time and do multiple Eternals. I think they're like, hey, let's just tell the
But
story real quick,
they're
and
definitely acting like it, man.
and
They're acting like with
we'll bridge onto these other things, and they're going to connect in some other way. And I think they just needed to connect those dots to get to this other point.
see, that's what I thought. I mean, I really thought that, but it seems like they were planning on doing more with it. Yeah, especially with these characters. I mean, the characters are still there, half of them,
Yeah.
you know. So maybe not another Eternals movie, but yeah, that's what I thought. I thought it was going to be a one-off and just go with it. Bring in the mutants, do some other things that you can do with Celestials. They can redo Inhumans, which I know you love. Um, and
And
I want to watch it now. I've never seen it, but I want to watch it now.
it was pretty bad. Um, yeah, and then the young uh, Eternal lost her powers. The one
Mhm.
Sprite,
So
is that
she's
it?
human now.
Yeah.
Pixie
Yeah.
or Sprite.
Sprite. Yeah.
Sprite.
Pretty sure Sprite.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so she's out. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited for any future Marvel films. And if you got sci-fi going, any form of sci-fi, like, oh, we're gonna go into space and fight this giant thing that is taking our precious Cersei hostage. Let's go do it, dude. Hey, Pip, what doorway do I need to walk through? Like, let's do this.
I am more excited for Marvel shows than I am for Marvel movies right now. I'll say that.
Yeah.
The shows have been spectacularly better in Phase 4 than the movies have been.
Definitely. And Loki has been was fantastic. Did you watch Loki? I loved that
I did.
show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Multiple timelines. What the hell's going on? You know, you got all kinds of variants and all kinds of weird stuff going on. Then you got all kinds of chaos magic and happening with
Right.
Wanda. Is she gonna break the universe? What is going on with that? Are we gonna go into a serious House of M story situation? And then
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, like then you got like and also you're like, she's not a bad guy, but she is. She's like man, I'm watching Dexter right now, and I'm on second season of Dexter. I went back and because I need to get caught up so that I can watch the new Dexter, and I stopped after the first season of Dexter. And in the second season of Dexter, do you remember that show? Do you watch that show?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. He's got he ends up going into a NA, and he ends up with a sponsor who and ends up he's got a girlfriend, but it ends up with a super sexy, gorgeous sponsor who he ends up hooking up with later on. Do you remember that? Like his girlfriend, who's blonde mom with two kids.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's
I
like you
remember
need to go to Narcotics Anonymous. So he does, and then he ends up meeting this stunning brunette model-esque British person who ends up being his sponsor, so that she's like, you need to stick with this. And then she sees, like, she's like, that's your sponsor, and she's like smoking. But they end up breaking up. He ends up of course ends up with this lady, and she is psycho, dude. Like she will sabotage things. At one point, she set her own apartment on fire because he was paying more attention to his ex-girlfriend's kids, because he went to a presentation the little boy was doing, you know, to support the kid, and to get attention, she burned her own apartment building down, and she's like that level of crazy, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
which is crazy. And I had an analogy going back to the Eternals, and I don't remember what it was now, which sucks because it would have been a good one. But yeah, I would like. I'm all for seeing something like that.
Well, and at the same point, like they killed off Gilgamesh. Like he was one of my favorite parts of the movie. They killed off like I don't know. Like a lot of it didn't stick. And what some people have said, so this is what some people have.
What I was gonna say is that seeing Scarlet Witch she's supposed to be a good guy, but she also used to be a bad guy, but she's capable of going to this level of crazy to rescue her children that she invented, that aren't even real children, but she invented them in her own magic universe. They're like it's exciting to see what level of crazy she's going to get into, if she's going to turn into like a bad character in the up and coming Doctor Strange movies, or if you know, for the sake of her family, which makes her a good person. Like I really like where they're going with her character. That's a whole reason I went down a rabbit hole talking about, because I didn't want to just sit here and say, oh, women are crazy, because we're a couple of dudes on a podcast, because you know, not all are, but some can be, and especially when you're talking about protecting your children, that's a motherly instinct of a rabid possum in the corner that's ready to attack. When you start messing with Scarlet Witch's kids, that shit can get real, and I'm excited to see how that goes down. Going back to Eternals, I didn't mean to derail you. That was just the second half of the thought I had.
Not at all. But that's my point. The television programs, or the Disney Plus programs, seem more fleshed out than the movies do now. Like, I mean, there was a slight connection between Eternals and Shang-Chi, but otherwise, I mean, do you see a connection?
Yeah, but you gotta wait, dude. It's like it's
Well,
like
no, you do. You're right.
it's like when people are
And
complain about a weekly series, and it's like the second
but
it's the second episode, and I'm like,
you
guys,
just said,
you got to get to the third
wait.
episode before it even
Ba, ba, ba. No, no, no. Sha, 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 sha. Blah,
before it
blah, blah.
even gets together. They got
You
to lay the
ha,
foundation.
ha, oh, ha, ha.
Mhm.
You just said a weekly series. We are talking about movies that are 2 to 3 years away from one another.
But they're all
Okay,
glued together. It's a
but
giant series. It's
they
just a
are
10 years long. And
they're not doing as well as they did before. Now, they
but
had the plan. Infinity Gauntlet is I had this for fucking 15 years. It's a story written in stone. Like people know it's going to be a seller. So don't get me wrong. Whatever they're doing next, I'm not saying it's not going to end up being great. I'm just saying like they're not tying this shit together like they are with the series. They are tying it together and it's clicking. With the
tr-
movies, it's like, why the fuck am I watching this? Like, what's going on here?
trust Feige. He hasn't steered us wrong yet. You got to trust him, man. He's just building up, and all of these things it's all a bunch of threads that are all going to glue together, just like
I
like a family tree. All the ancestors over here, and then they're all lead down to
Yeah,
this
but a
one
family
thing.
doesn't. Family tree doesn't have a money man that's going to kick the guy that's the smartest guy in the room out because it's like, well, these last two
He's
movies
not.
weren't
They're
good.
not going to kick him out for one movie that critics didn't know what to think of it because it was something they didn't expect. This one movie that ends up getting
They're not.
a B score which is better than most movies get. The shittiest score that a Marvel movie gets is better than 90% of any other movies that scores that they get. And this is the one thing anybody can complain about, and it really just gets exaggerated because people jump on a bandwagon, or people like, ooh, that's the shocker. People want a headline. Oh, the Marvel movie's gonna tank. Oh, it's gonna say Marvel's got the worst rated score ever of any Marvel movie. Ooh, I heard Disney's going bankrupt. That's the click. People want to fucking click on something, so they're gonna blow this out of proportion. Oh, it's the worst Marvel movie ever, and then everybody goes to see it and they like it. Oh, what happened? What happened? Let's look up the Eternals
No.
fucking score right now. Eternals.
No. Don't look at their score. My point being is look up their box office. And here's the point.
It's
We
doing
just
great.
wait.
It's doing just
I
fine.
know.
It's doing
I
absolutely
agree.
fine.
I'm not. I'm a Marvel homer. I'm not arguing with this. But my point being, we just talked about it, they canceled the third one for Clash of the Titans remake because it made the second one only made double its money back. Okay, Marvel movies are used to making like billions of dollars.
It's a pandemic.
They don't. Oh, okay.
I'm saying, look at all the other movies. Nothing.
It's gonna make money.
F9's the only problem with this, and the money making. Now this is an interesting conversation to have. And Shang-Chi has done well around the world, but Shang-Chi is not going to end up in China because he's talked some smack about China because his parents are from there. So now there's a weird political thing where China is not going to let that movie in. Chloe Zhao has a similar thing.
Apparently they canceled. Go ahead.
The same thing. Chloe Zhao's spoken ill of China, so they're not going to let that. That's a real issue. What's interesting is that you have these Chinese people that are involved in these movies, and they're not going to be released in China. That's a huge chunk out. So you got to wonder: are they going to? They're like, okay, we didn't even think about this possibility. Maybe we're not going to catch much. We're not going to catch much from these guys in the future, but I guess we'll just have to take a hit financially on these movies right now, and do the best we can outside of China. Or are they just going to keep using them all the time? That's what's interesting. Hey, are they going to write out Shang-Chi to not be that involved so that the movies still show in China, or are they going to have Shang-Chi all over everything? It's an interesting question.
Well, this thing, as Americans, our biggest culture export is culture. Okay, let's be honest. Like that's Our biggest export is culture, and they can right away. Um, it's Grimsel says, "Let's go."
Yeah.
Uh,
Dude,
but
just to let you know, 46% tomato meter. Audience score is 80%
on what
on
Eternals?
Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say it's a bad movie. Like it was, but uh, like any Marvel movie, I'm probably going to be like, okay, this is better than most. Like it's not it is not a bad movie. Okay, I'm not trying to say that by any means. Um, but it seems like just this phase with Shang-Chi and with Eternals, like they're trying to push these other characters in. Um, and so as much as some people be like, I've seen some articles about people saying, "Well, you didn't like it, so you're a racist, or you're
Yeah,
this, or
that's
so
all
you're that."
dumb. Yeah.
I agree with that. But and again, it's not like I didn't like it. It just really wasn't that good. It was there should be a meh meter, like meh,
Yeah.
like like
we
yeah, it's
and
all
we jo-
right. And like
we joked about it before. You're
yeah,
like, dude, I didn't like Shang-Chi. If I don't like this movie, people are gonna call me a racist, you know. And we were joking about it, and it's like, and you're like, dude, I hated Eternals. I was like, dude, you're a homophobic racist, and you're like, fuck you, dude. But it's, you know,
yeah.
we're being silly about it, but it's okay to not like a movie despite what the cast
Yep.
ethnicities are or whatnot. That's okay to not like a movie, but
But
also don't be a dick. If that's why you don't like the movie, everybody should do a self-examination and realize that maybe they're dicks if if they have a problem with certain things. What I
yeah,
hate is when you shove something down your throat and you sacrifice good storytelling. I don't think you should do that just to check some boxes, but I think it's okay. Here's another thing that while we're on this topic, and which I don't like to talk about too much because just because it gets messy,
yeah,
but I've thought about that with people, like a lot of, you see all these stupid channels that are like, oh, they're trying to shove diversity down our throat and all this stuff. But I've also wondered why. I was like, if they didn't talk about it, like this is going to be the most diverse thing, and this diverse, and they get clicks and headlines from that, and it makes their brand look good. You know what I mean?
mhm.
But I'm picking up myself through through the headphones. But what I've also thought about is like, dude, just cast diverse. Do diverse casting. Don't brag about it, and then the shitheads can't complain about it, and just casually give us diversity and give us all those things. Don't try to get a merit badge where everybody like, you don't need a pat on the back
Right.
for casting a diverse cast. Just fucking do it, and don't.
That's
If you would,
so
if they would do that before we know it, everything that we see is going to be diverse, and there's nobody to argue because they're not bragging that they're being diverse. There's nobody to argue with it, and before you know it, it's like when you boil a frog. If you turn the heat on right quick, it jumps out. But if you do it slowly, before you know it, in 10 years, all we're gonna know is just diverse cast because we've seen it, and that becomes the norm. And you can do that without making it a thing. It's like as soon as you say something, you're gonna have somebody else fighting you. So it's like, let's just go stealth mode and just cast diversity and be fair. Cast the right
so
person for the part. And I the whole thing annoys the shit out of me. I don't care what the race is. Like, I don't care if they're white
right.
or Asian or Hispanic or black or whatever. Like, I think whoever's right is for the part is what's right for the part. It annoys me when somebody doesn't want to cast somebody, and like there's a lot of this, like, oh well, they're white, well that's just a white savior thing, and blah 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 blah. I'm like, it's okay to cast a white person. It who cares what the race? Cast the best person for the part. If they're Asian, then
Or
perfect.
even
Cast them.
like
If they're Indian, perfect. Like, that whole thing.
if the story
People,
makes sense, it doesn't matter. Like if the story makes sense,
yeah,
if you're talking about like someone like Superman could have been born and he could have landed anywhere.
yeah,
Okay, He could have landed in an Indian community, he could have landed in, an African American community. Like, that's what I mean, like, as long as you make the story make sense, it doesn't matter. The story, like, the heroes transcend all that. That's what people don't get. Like, there was a whole argument a few years ago about, like, should Santa Claus be black and blah, 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 and, like, historically and blah, 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 and it's like, he's a fucking made up character, like, guys, like, what are we talking
Yeah,
about
who
here? Like,
cares?
what like, as long as it makes sense to your kids, like, life is good. Like,
Yeah.
we're done. Um, but you're bringing like that's the point that I was trying to make is that like it's not like the diversity was one of the biggest things that I enjoyed about this film because of the fact that if you're a celestial being and you're creating this race of people to help Earth, okay, if you make a bunch of white people, that doesn't make any damn sense,
Yeah.
okay? Like it's stupid. It's just stupid if you're a celestial being, okay?
And just give them
And
all British accents too while you're at
yeah,
it.
yeah, I mean, like, that's just stupid. So the diversity made sense to me, okay? Um, however, like, I have read some articles where they're talking about, you know, prophetizing tokenism, and, like, the I don't wanna say that's part of this movie, but, like, it eh, to a degree, like, that's kinda what it seems like Marvel is pushing, like, the diversity for diversity's sake. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but when it sacrifices storytelling or whatever, like it can be bad.
Yeah,
Like
and you had I've said that too about the CW shows too. It's where it's like I like for instance, Doom Patrol that one of the characters is gay, and he's one of my favorite characters on that
right.
show. And then you have other shows. You always put something in there, and I'm like, it started to feel after a while. I'm like, dude, it feels like they're checking a box on every single CW show, and
Right.
I'm like, whatever. And what do I care? I don't care if they do that or not. Like, it's
Right.
cool. But
Exactly. Like,
there are some YouTube channels that's what their audience. They're like,
oh
okay,
my
yeah,
god.
they're like, okay, guys, I don't know if you saw the red carpet event for the Eternals. All they did, every actor, it's like they were coached diversity, 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 and I'm like, dude, I think it's great that they're pushing that. But like they'll get a whole audience, and there'll be somebody with 100,000 viewers. They'll get them all ramped up about like, oh, they're not focused, and they'll give them a story and say they don't care about the comics, they don't care about storytelling. They're just the whole point of this movie is all about diversity and spoon feeding this agenda, and so then you got all these people that are going to see the Eternals wanting it to fail because their favorite shithead guy on YouTube is like programmed them. But it's like that on everything. If you can watch CNN or Fox, and they do the same thing to their audience. You can watch. One YouTube. I'm not want to bring up YouTube channels names
you
or
can watch
anything.
verses and we're gonna just talk shit about everything.
But and they do that. It's really funny. It's like, okay, I think this is my niche. I'm gonna be a guy that complains about who does that. Like, I'm gonna be the guy that complains about diversity, and that's my niche, and I'll just build an audience of shitheads from that. You know what I mean? It's like I get it. Sometimes it's oversaturated, and sometimes like we used to joke about it when we go to McDonald's and you look over on the wall and you'd have like a group of people all sitting like in the wallpaper. You've got a white guy, a black guy, an Asian guy, a Mexican guy, all sitting together. I'm like, have you ever been to a McDonald's and seen that? I've never seen that. It's hilarious. You know what I mean?
Or
in
you
a
go to
perfect
Target,
world, that would happen, but
you go to Target and there's the like completely racially ambiguous family. Like
yeah,
I'm sure those exist.
yeah.
Like, but like
It's funny. So I mean, I laugh about. I mean, I'm pretty open minded dude, and I don't care about race or anything, but and I can look at those things and recognize that McDonald's is trying to push diversity,
right, yeah.
and I can make a joke about it and laugh. But I think it's good that they're trying to do that. Yeah.
Well, and that's same thing too. Like if I hope. Like I hope kids grow up with this and they're like that's like what were they even talking about, like what like why is this even like, but that's the point. You should get to the point where it's not even an issue, where it's not a selling point, which I think to a certain degree it is, and it's not. But at the same time, it's not like a weakness either. Like it's just like again, I've talked about this before. We are the most diverse nation in the entire world, and our problem is diversity. It doesn't make sense. Like, you know, every movie, whatever the percentage is, there should be that percentage of white people and black people and, just pure representation. Like, like every job, like not even just movies, like every corporate organization. Like if there's 25% of the people that are black, then there should be 25% of the people on the, or on the, board or whatever. Like it shouldn't even be an issue. Like so that you have pure representation.
Yeah.
Hopefully more so, but but that's the thing is that
And that brings in other arguments where some people will also say, okay, well, if you're basing this on color and not talent or skill, then you're cutting other people out. If you're like 25%
well,
white, well,
great,
yeah. So
great.
then you get into that, and then you're like, okay, well, what about sports? Are we gonna make okay? You gonna
Yeah,
put 25%
maybe.
of the guys on the basketball team are gonna have to be white? They're gonna get like they're gonna at the Olympics. They're gonna get hurt. But I'm just
But we're
making a
not
joke. But you know what I'm
you no,
saying?
no, but
So,
you're saying a good point. Like people are gonna make that argument, but that's the thing is like uh 98% of us are not professional athletes. We are
yeah,
not movie stars. We're workers, and we everybody deserves representation in their workplace. Like period.
I
Like
I don't think anything should be based on your race. I don't like. I
I
don't
don't
think.
either. I don't either, but I'm a white guy.
Yeah.
Like that's easy
Yeah,
for me
I
to
don't
say.
think it, so yeah, I'm a
Like
half white guy, but I think maybe oh, like I've got to go pretty soon, and we're sitting here
oh sorry guys.
solving the world's problems of
Yeah.
race. But I feel like maybe you could put certain programs in place to help certain demographics, because I don't even
Yeah.
think it's
That's
I don't think it's a pigment issue or
if
a
25
genetic issue. I
if
think it's a
25% of your community is Hispanic American, then they should be represented on any board 25%. Like there you're telling me there's not some guy out there that can take that white guy's job. He might
yeah.
be better, but he can't represent that community. That's the point. Or 25% black or whatever
Dude,
30%.
I could get in a
Like
long debate with you on this, because I also think like where you could have somebody who works really hard academically and then gets cut out of gets beat out of a slot in a job or school because there's somebody that is of a different demographic, and
that happens.
instead of their
That happens.
ability. And I guess so it's weird.
But
It's such a complex thing. But the real crux of it, what I was thinking about the other day though, was I was like, dude, like all these guys cry about the diversity stuff. That's the like it's a trigger word that gets people to like go nuts, and they go to their YouTube channels and get nuts about this. And I go, if they just quit talking about it and do it, there would nobody like go stealth mode on the casting, and and put it in here or there, but don't make a big deal out of it. And I'm
right.
telling you right now, all these kids that are in high school, in 10 years they're going to be in their 20s, and that's just what they're used to. In 10 more years they're going
Yeah.
to be parents, and then their kids, that's all they're going to know. Like that's just the norm. So you just shut the fuck up and just do it, and then before you know it, we won't have this tired conversation about it.
Well, I was talking about it again. So today in class, I said, who's the Eternals
Oh
and
yeah,
who's
what did your kids say?
Well, so most kids that saw the Eternals were like, yeah, it raised a lot of questions, and I was like, yeah, I was like, I didn't really like it that much, blah blah. And I was like, I didn't like Shang-Chi either. Most kids were like, oh, Shang-Chi was awesome, blah blah. So I, I'll admit, I'm probably wrong with Shang-Chi. I didn't like it, but you know, the kids really liked it. And so we were talking about Eternals again, and the young lady was like, well, I want to see more, African American young women, like more African American, representation and this and that. And I was like, well, I think Shuri's supposed to take over because Chadwick Boseman died. I think she's going to be the new Black Panther. And she's like, no, she's African. I want to see African American women.
Oh,
You know,
wow. That's interesting.
and I was like, yeah, and I was like, well, you know what, Monica Rambeau is taking over. Or well, she was in WandaVision. I was like, you know, she's probably going to be a big part of it. She was officially Captain Marvel for a while, and you know, blah
And
blah blah.
she's brave and
But
strong enough in that show that she could possibly be like
right,
a Captain America, Tony Stark kind of a leading character.
that's what I'm saying. So that's again, the shows are doing it better than the movies right now. Like that's an under the radar thing that like people are like people want that, and instead of like throwing it in your face, like here's some, you know, I'm all for diversity. I'm all for representation. But like don't make it don't make put a dollar sign on it. Like that
Yeah.
wasn't like that was just there, and it was just good storytelling, and it worked. And she was like, yeah, you know what, like she didn't notice that before. She was like, and I was like, yeah, she's a big, she didn't know Marvel Comics, you know, that's a 30-year-old character or something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
Spectrum. And I was
So
like,
you
yeah,
told her,
like,
"Hey,
yeah, I
she's
was
an
like,
important character."
yeah, I was like, she became Captain Marvel at one point. I was like, she's probably not gonna now, but she's gonna go by Spectrum and this and that and the other. She was like, "Oh, well, that's cool," you know. But that's what I mean. Like you know, people want that stuff, but then yeah, it's not like they don't want it to be a dollar sign. They don't want it to be a, you know, like here's why you go see this so that you can be part of the, you know. I don't know.
So so since I got to wrap it up pretty quick and
Yep.
get across town, let me ask you this: did the majority of your younger people that you asked, did they enjoy the movie or did they not enjoy Eternals?
They didn't say yes or no, but they weren't like, and that was the difference. Like they were like, it was all right. But whenever I was like, I liked it better than I liked Shang-Chi, and they're like, oh, Shang-Chi's awesome. Like so they definitely enjoyed Shang-Chi more.
Oh, that's
Like
funny.
I did not. I thought Eternals was better, but they thought Shang-Chi was way better, and they were just kind of like, well, it asked a lot of questions and this and that and the other. And but yeah, it seemed like they enjoyed Shang-Chi more of the Phase 4 movies.
Let me ask you this: whenever at the end, when there was a post-credit scene, and this is my last
Mhm.
thing, and I got to get the hell out of here. When there was a
Yep.
post-credit scene, Kid Harington, the Black Knight, is like about to touch the sword. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
And then a low voice popped in. So are you sure you're ready to do that? Do you remember that part? Did you see that?
Oh, I don't know if I saw that part.
Yeah.
I saw the mid-credit scene.
After Star Fox and Pip,
Okay.
the hideous character disappear, the poorly done CGI character disappear. The credits go, and then afterwards it shows the Black Knight in a room, and he opens this box. This is like family crest on it or whatever. Opens this box, and it's the giant sword
Mhm.
in there that's black, and it's almost moving with CGI, and it's the Black Knight's sword. And his family has had this thing for generations and generations, and he's like, he doesn't know if he's ready to touch the sword because every generation it affects them differently, and this is a big thing. And then he's about to touch it, and it's even almost it's almost moving to him. You know what I mean? Like he's about to
Mhm.
touch the sword, and then this voice says, "Are you sure you're ready to go there? You know, to do that?" And it was Mahershala Ali's voice is what I'm hearing. I didn't know whose voice it was. I wasn't sure,
That's
but
that's Blade, right?
that's Blade. So they might have. We still don't know 100%. I've seen a couple articles that I haven't clicked on. They're like confirmation. It's Mahershala Ali. I don't know that that's true. So you're not hearing that from this channel until I do some more research. But from what it could be Blade. So they might already be teasing Blade and the Black Knight. If we get the Black Knight and Blade together in a movie, that might be interesting.
Regardless, if you're not aware, the Black Knight sucks. I don't know why they're trying to bring him into the Marvel universe. Like they brought him in as a like to take over for Cap for a while, and like God, he sucked. He's such a shitty character. Like, uh, so get ready for that. It's gonna be
well,
awesome.
well, they
Like,
might make him cool. That's the thing.
he was
The
an Avenger for a while. Cersei was an Avenger for a while. Cersei's better than the Black Knight. The Black Knight fucking sucks. Like,
Well,
sorry.
maybe the Black Knight's going to go up into space and go rescue Cersei. They're going to come back and join the Avengers, and then
Probably, and it's gonna like I hope not. Like,
Well, those
it's
actors are cool. So you gotta realize when you're adapting from a comic to the movie, if you have charismatic, likable actors, it's gonna be cool.
yeah.
They can make it cool. That's what's cool about it. They can
The
make it
MC
cool.
the MCU is doing the same thing that the Ultimate Universe did. Like the Ultimate Universe reinvented Marvel, and it was the greatest thing for a while. Like they had all the heavy hitters, and it was just like such a streamlined storyline, and it was so perfect. And then they were like, "Let's bring in this obscure character. Let's bring in this obscure character. Let's bring in this. Let's bring." And like the MCU is doing that now, and it's like no,
Have
you
faith, bro.
streamlined it. You streamlined it to get rid of all this like baggage. Like we don't want the fucking baggage. We
They're
don't need a Black
expanding.
Knight.
There's
But
thousands
don't
of
expand on the Black Knight. Like
there's thousands of Marvel characters. So they're picking a few. I get it. Freaking Jon Snow. He was the Night's Watch. He's clearly the Black Knight.
Why waste him on the damn Black Knight? Like he's a damn good actor. Why waste him on the fucking Black Knight? Oh God.
Because we're out of actors. You didn't notice? We're out of who the hell else are we going to get to be a Marvel? Pretty much.
I'm not worried about actors. I'm worried about characters. There's tons of other good Marvel characters. Not the like. Oh God.
I think it's corny to like anytime you get Merlin involved. Like, okay, dude, I'm out. But unless this is a medieval movie, I don't want to mix my Hulk with Merlin. You know what I mean? It's the same feeling.
It's coming.
It's the same feeling also that that I get. Like, I like Thor being in there, but when you talk about Hercules in Marvel, it gives me an ice cream headache. You know what I mean? Like I like Odin in Thor. I don't want Zeus in the Marvel. That's just like, no, come on, man, get out of here with that. Anyway, on that note, guys, I gotta go. I've got band practice, and Curtis, I always have fun hanging out with you guys. It was Clash of the Titans versus Clash of the Titans. I think we both agree 1981. Clash. Are you 1980 OG, man? We're both on agreement on that, and we both, I feel, enjoyed Eternals in different ways. It's just Curtis enjoyed it much less than I did. Yes.
But hopefully Marvel will prove me wrong. I'm gonna watch Shang-Chi again. It is streaming Friday, I think, on Disney Plus. I'm gonna watch it again. I'm not saying I'm right. That was my initial feelings. I'll notice some stuff and I'll change my mind. I am a bald ape wandering around this earth.
Next week, I'm hoping you got to remind me on this topic next week. I'm hoping we get more developments on this, but Vin Diesel calls out little brother The Rock, seemingly photoshops himself to look bigger in the photo, and basically publicly on Instagram, I believe, asks him to come back to Fast in the Future, but kind of does it in a bro way where it's like, bro, man up and come back to the thing. Nobody else could play the part like you. You are Hobbs, but so it's your destiny. So don't which is hilarious.
Well, The Rock's like, I've got 15 other films lined up. Vin Diesel, what do you have?
Exactly. Exactly. So it's like it's pretty hilarious, but yeah, it's pretty funny. If I guess if he doesn't come back, which I don't think he is gonna, then he gets to be like, dude, I tried. I tried to get him back for the fans. I guess he doesn't care about the fans like Vin Diesel does. But I don't know. Yeah. But we'll talk about that next week, guys. We had a great time. Everybody in the chat, thanks as always. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, tell your friends about us, and we're gonna be back in the near future. Love you guys. We are out.